Let me start with a question that almost nobody asks out loud. What if the most dangerous financial decision you ever make isn't about money at all? Not the stock you bought at the wrong time, not the house you overpaid for, not the recession you didn't see coming. What if it's the person you choose to build your life with? Because here's the uncomfortable truth: markets crash, markets recover. But the wrong partner doesn't just lose you money, they change the trajectory of your entire life. And most people walk straight into that risk blindfolded. Think about how careful you are with money. You compare interest rates, you research investments, you worry about fees, taxes, and returns. But when it comes to marriage, the single biggest financial contract you'll ever sign, most people rely on feelings and hope. No spreadsheet, no stress test, no downside analysis, just vibes. Now imagine this scenario. You've spent 10 or 15 years building momentum. You've worked late nights. You've skipped things other people didn't. You finally started to feel stable. Then one decision quietly changes everything. You merge your finances with someone who sees money completely differently. Not evil, not irresponsible, just incompatible. At first it's small. Different spending habits, different priorities, different ideas of normal. You think love will smooth it out. It doesn't. Because money isn't emotional, it's mathematical. And math always wins. Let's talk about how wealth actually gets destroyed inside relationships. Not through drama, not through cheating, not through explosions, but through friction. Picture two people. One thinks about the future, the other thinks about today. One feels safe seeing a growing bank balance. The other feels alive spending it. No one is wrong as a human being, but financially, that combination is lethal. Every month becomes a negotiation. Every purchase becomes a debate. Eventually, someone gives up, and it's almost always the saver, because saying no constantly is exhausting, so they compromise. They save less. They invest later. They stop dreaming as big, and nothing looks broken, until years pass, and the gap between where they are and where they could have been becomes impossible to ignore. That's the hidden cost nobody warns you about. You don't lose money once, you lose the chance to compound. Now let's talk about the thing people avoid because it's uncomfortable: divorce. Not the emotional side. Everyone understands that part. The financial side. Divorce doesn't just split assets, it destroys efficiency. One household becomes two. One income supports double the overhead. Everything gets more expensive overnight. Then come the legal fees, the forced asset sales, the taxes triggered at the worst possible time. And the most brutal part? You're rebuilding later in life. Compounding doesn't care that you're tired. Time is the one thing you can't replace. But even if divorce never happens, there's another risk that quietly eats people alive. Financial secrecy, hidden spending, hidden debt, hidden anxiety. Money lies don't feel as dramatic as emotional lies, but they're often more destructive. Because legally, you're tied together. Their credit affects your future. Their debt can become your problem. Their mistakes don't stay isolated. You can do everything right and still lose because of someone else's behavior. That's not pessimism. That's reality. Now, some people hear this and say, so what? We shouldn't get married. No, that's not the lesson. The lesson is that marriage is leverage, and leverage can build or destroy, depending on how it's used. A financially aligned partnership is one of the most powerful wealth engines that exists. Two people pulling in the same direction. Shared goals, shared discipline. That's how people escape the middle class. But alignment doesn't happen by accident. It happens through uncomfortable conversations before commitment, not after resentment sets in. Let's talk about what actually matters. Not how much someone earns, but how they think. Do they see money as security or entertainment? Do they plan or react? Do they avoid problems or face them? Those patterns don't change because of love. They amplify. And here's something most people never consider. Marriage legally binds your future earnings. You're not just sharing what you have, you're sharing what you will become. Your time, your energy, your upside. That's not romantic. That's serious, which is why avoiding money conversations early isn't kindness. It's negligence. And yes, this is where prenups come in. Not as a threat, not as an exit plan, but as clarity. A prenup forces honesty. It asks questions like, what's ours? What's individual? What happens if life changes? If someone refuses to even discuss that, it's not because they're romantic. I agree, marriage should be about love, but money is the number one cause of divorce. Financial stress is acid. It dissolves patience. It corrodes trust. It turns partners into opponents. If you want a strong marriage, you have to get the money right. Ignoring finances doesn't make love stronger. It makes it fragile. This is why financial alignment is so powerful. When two people share values around money, something incredible happens. Goals feel lighter. Decisions feel calmer. The future feels collaborative instead of competitive. A financially aligned marriage isn't just stable, it's a force multiplier. Two incomes, one direction. Shared sacrifice, shared discipline. That's how wealth is built fast. Marriage done right is a wealth superpower. Marriage done blindly is a wealth destroyer. So how do you reduce the risk? First, you talk about money before it becomes a problem. Not casually, intentionally. Credit scores, debt, spending habits, goals. These aren't awkward conversations. They're necessary ones. Second, you watch behavior, not promises. Anyone can say they'll change. Very few people actually do. Past behavior with money is the strongest predictor of future behavior. Third, you remove the stigma around protection. Prenups aren't pessimistic. They're honest. They force clarity. They define boundaries. They reduce uncertainty. Insurance doesn't mean you plan to crash. It means you understand risk. And finally, if you're already married and misaligned, you don't ignore it. You build guardrails, separate accounts, automated savings, clear rules. Hope is not a strategy. Marriage is leverage. And leverage magnifies whatever you attach it to. So choose wisely, because markets crash and recover. But the wrong partnership can quietly drain your life's work without ever ringing an alarm. A broken heart heals. A broken financial future lingers. And if this video made you think differently about money and relationships, share it with someone you care about, not to scare them, but to protect them. I'll see you in the next one.